And we are live. Welcome in everyone in Shabbat Shalom. Good evening, everyone. Welcome in and Shabbat Shalom. My name is Rabbi Ross Levy. I'm the assistant rabbi here at Congregation Kol Ami in West Hollywood, California. And we are thrilled to be able to come together as a community this Shabbat, both here in person and those of you who are joining us online. We are having a bit of an open yad takeover Shabbat, and we are really, really excited to have so many members and folks from our open yad 20s and 30s group here joining us and that are going to participate in different aspects of the service. For those who are joining online, I would encourage you to, if you want to follow along with our prayer book, to go check out ccarnet.org. And there you can find a virtual version of our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, that we'll be praying from this evening. And we will begin by greeting everyone. Oh, I should say I am also especially thrilled to be joined, as always, by our lovely accompanist, Lisa Edwards, but especially joined by Rabbi Alana Rabashaw. For those who can't hear, there was a huge round of applause here in the building, and this will be her first Shabbat service as a rabbi, and unfortunately the last Shabbat service here with us at Kol Ami.
For now.
For now. So with that, we will begin on page 129 with Hine Matov, offering gratitude for how wonderful it is to be together. And the version that we're doing, written by fantastic Jewish songwriter Alana Arian, includes some English that's a little bit different that you won't find in your prayer book, but it is in the insert for those of us here that was slid inside the bulletin, so you can find the words there. Page 128, excuse me. Hine matov שברחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov, umanayim sheberachim gam yachad. Hine matov. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is
pleasure to invite up Don and Elizabeth, two of our leaders in the Open Yad Project, to kindle our Shabbat lights. Page 121.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
That one's going to be easier. It's just a button.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר וציוונו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת, של שבת. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the light of Shabbat. We'll continue with Kiddush on page 123. And if you're joining us at home, I hope you'll grab a cup of wine, a cup of grape juice, whatever you might have. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reish כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש. זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
When Rabbi Levy and I had this idea for an Open Yad Takeover Shabbat, what exactly did that mean? For us, one of the things it meant was we wanted to embrace more of our youthful energy as we welcome in Shabbat. So we thought that we would shift a little bit of what we know to be our normal order of service here at Kol Ami and add in more Kabbalat Shabbat. Add in more of the psalms that we do to build up the anticipation of welcoming in the Shabbat bride. So tonight, we thought that we would include a couple of our favorite psalms, a couple of our favorite selections from Kabbalat Shabbat to really build up that anticipation and get us really, really well ready for the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi. So with that, we will start with Lechuna Ranana on page 130, which is also on your insert.
Lechu neranena, yai lai lai yai lai, l'Adonai, yai lai lai alalai, Naria, yai lai lai yai lai, Letzoi sheinu, yai lai lai alalai. Let us sing unto God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai lai yai lai, l'Adonai, yai lai lai alalai, Naria, yai lai lai yai lai, Netzoi shenu, yai lai lai alalai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai lai alalai, Naria, yai lai 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 lai, Letzoi sheinu, yai lai lai alalai, yai lai lai alalai, yai lai lai alalai. We are taught, and we actually know that in ancient and medieval times, that for each special Shabbat, for whether it's a special Parsha or things like that, there were actually poets that were a part of Jewish communities around the world that would compose new forms of poetry, whether it be new songs, new melodies, but also literally new pieces of liturgy, new prayers to be sung. Many of these poems eventually made their way into the standard prayer book, but before we all had the printing press and we were able to all look at the same prayer book, there was this wave of creativity. And so as we move through the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms, we're going to sing Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, sing unto God a new song. And I want to encourage all of us on this Shabbat to think about that new song that we're bringing to this Shabbat, that song that comes from deep within us, whether it's a song of yearning, a song of joy and gratitude, a song of sadness and of mourning. But what is that new song that's living within us, living inside us, just waiting to be expressed? So we'll continue with Shir Chadash. There is a little bit of a different English to this. I know this is a common melody for our community here. So if you want the English words, they can be found on page 648. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Let's try that again. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God of the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Y'all sound beautiful. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. מחדש.
The second half of that psalm encourages us to sing this new song with all different sorts of instruments. And so I am going to use our little handy-dandy egg shaker for this next psalm on page 135. And I encourage you to find an instrument within your body, to clap along, to find your own rhythm and way to bring in that energy as we really start building towards welcoming in the Shabbat bride.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו בהר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. Having built up that energy together, we can now greet the Shabbat bride with a lot of warmth, a lot of kindness, and a lot of gratitude. So we'll turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and on the 9th verse, as is our custom, we'll invite you to please rise and turn to the back entrance to formally welcome the presence of Shabbat. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המאוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה. לך אותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה.
Now that we've welcomed in the presence of Shabbat, let's welcome one another, whether on Facebook or whether you're lucky enough to be near somebody that you can wish a Shabbat Shalom to.
Shabbat Shalom, Mom, Dad. Shabbat Shalom, Ronnie, if you're watching.
Shabbat Shalom. We remain standing to begin our formal worship with the Baruch Hu on page 146. We will continue on page 151 in English. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Amen. We will rise as a community as you are able, as we say the central statement of our worship, the Shema, together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai. Shem kevod malchuto leolam leolam vayed.
be seated.
Continue at the top of page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Let's join together at the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Continue with Mi Chamocha on page 158, our song of freedom, our song of redemption. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilo Osef elei, Norah tehilot, Osef elei, Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, Rokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'amru.
Let's read Hashkivenu together in English at the bottom of page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. As we prepare to move into the Amidah, the central prayer text of our service tonight, I want to encourage you all to once again think about that new song that you want to express, that whether or not you give voice to it during these moments of meditation, or you give voice to it maybe tomorrow afternoon on a walk or whatever it might be. It's a song that's waiting to be heard, waiting to be listened to, waiting to be shared with other people. So I'll invite everyone to please rise as we turn to page 164 for Adonai Sifatai, and for those who may be new to our community worshiping with us, we sing this first intention, this iyun, together, and then continue on our own silently. And I invite you to use the words, the prayers passed down to us by earlier generations, or to find those prayers that originate within your own heart and your own soul. Page 164. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufia Ki Tehilatecha. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufia Ki Tehilatecha. The words for you, Lerot song, can be found on page 180. You may be seated. With our prayers and our intentions still reverberating within our bodies and our souls, we now offer blessings for healing for those who may be in need, whether they be healing of body, healing of mind, or healing of spirit. On this Shabbat, Congregation Kol Ami is thinking of John Altschul, Gary Ashland, Vicky Beard, Richard Bernard, Lisa Bird, Dabby Blatt, Elaine Blatt, Ray Blankenship, Louise Cantrell, Wayne Cantrell, Arlene Drake, Gail Ehrlich, Tino Felipe, Richard Frank, Zeus Goldberg, Reba Goldman, Brad Greenberg, Dave Hall, Don Hollis, Yaffa Hughes, Tim Jordan, Heidi Kebus, Alice Kessler, Vanessa Knight, Daryl Levine, Peter Mackler, Chuck Pace, Tammy Rabowski, Howard Romanoff, Ivan Rosenberg, Lowell Selvin, Judy Searle, Michael Simmental, Henry Sommerfeld, Barbara Thompson, David Tsuriel, Kathy Weiss, Phil Windsor, Eitan Wolf, Nancy Wortman, and David Ben Herschel Vibashan. To these names, we add those of your loved ones. If you'd like to share them with our community here in person in the sanctuary, I invite you to do so now. And those joining us online, I invite you to share their names into the chat so we can take them in with our own and offer healing prayer and healing energies and strength for recovery, whatever that path to recovery may be. We turn to our prayer for healing, the Misha Beirach, on page 371. Strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Before hearing some words of Torah and being able to learn from Rabbi Rabashah this evening, we find ourselves, we're coming towards the end of the Omer, but we're still in the Omer, so I'll invite everyone to turn to page 570. And I will invite you to join me in the Hebrew and or the English, whatever makes you comfortable, in the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom chamisha u'shloshim yom, shehem chamisha shavuot la'omer. Today is the 35th day of the Omer, which is exactly 5 weeks of the Omer. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
Shabbat Shalom. I will never take it for granted to actually hear Shabbat Shalom response ever again after all the time on Zoom. I'll also never forget the day that I got my driver's license. When we got home, my dad gave me the keys to his car and said, go somewhere. I don't really care where you go, but you need to get in the car and drive. Hours of practice and preparation had led me to this moment. I thought I was ready after 50 hours behind the wheel, countless hours of backseat driving. And as prepared as I was, nothing really could prepare me for the moment that I was behind the wheel, alone, with nobody backseat driving, or in a real case of emergency, nobody in the passenger seat with emergency brakes. It's an unparalleled feeling, this moment of claiming responsibility, whether it's for a car and heavy machinery or your own individual responsibility. And in many ways, this week's Torah portion, Bechukotai, this is where it begins. To recap, since the exodus from Egypt, the people of Israel, or the Israelites, have been wandering in the desert and learning incrementally what it means to be a free and a holy people. This began with learning how to survive in the desert, with water in a well, with manna falling from the sky. And then it turned into receiving the 10 Commandments, those first 10 statements of what it means to live in accordance to the structure that God has provided. And then we transition from the book of Exodus to the book of Leviticus, which is chock full of commandments that further spell out to the Israelites exactly what it means to live as God's chosen people, including receiving the holiness code, what it means to be holy because God is holy. And now, with all of this information, Bechukotai begins with the line, if you follow my laws and observe my commandments. If. All of this to get that one really important word, if. If God's laws and commandments are observed, blessing will follow. The same covenant that began with Abraham and Sarah now applies to each and every member of the Jewish people, of these Israelites. Everyone has an opportunity and the power to make this choice. And this choice affects everyone. There's an old adage made famous by either Spider-Man or Winston Churchill, depending. With great power comes great responsibility. Rabbi Ben Spratt in New York explains that this communal responsibility for the future is inherently shared. If humanity mirrors divine categories of people, place, and thing, we will experience blessing and peace. And if we stray, desolation and destruction will be our destiny. It sounds, with this word if, like it's a conscious choice, where God is asking us to choose blessing and to choose to be a blessing. And that very well might be the case. However, in a community like Kol Ami, where a group gathered at City Hall just last week to march for reproductive rights, where this Sunday there will be a talk to learn about equality at the Kotel in Israel, where just a few weeks ago we put together hundreds of lunches in partnership with the Hollywood Food Coalition in this very sanctuary. I don't fully think it is a conscious choice. It is in our DNA as the Congregation Kol Ami community, because we strive to make this world a better place through our words and through our actions. And in doing so, we become this blessing that God promises. But we also must not be complacent by saying, well, we did that last week or 2 weeks ago, which leads us to June. And I'm not going to read you the calendar of upcoming events, but know that there are more lunches to pack and much more work to be done. But Rabbi, aren't you moving next week? I am, yes. But that leads me to the most important part. It's really easy in so many ways to get involved in these walls, where we are surrounded by a community of like-minded people. The same kind of involvement might be more challenging in other facets of our life, whether it's work, whether it's a hobby, whether it's another interest group that we find ourselves in. It might be like having our learner's permit. We know how to stand up and march for justice, and there is a certain amount of comfort in doing it with this community. But when we go to do it somewhere else, it becomes much more challenging. If you are on Instagram, This is Open Yad Takeover Shabbat. After all, I had to mention social media. I encourage you to follow the account Modern Ritual. It is run by Rabbis Sam Frank and Rena Singer, and to use their words, it is a fresh, beautiful, feminist approach to Jewish living. And every single week, they use the poll feature to challenge their followers to bring intention to their Shabbat, regardless of if or how or to what extent they practice. This week, one of the quotes said, "I pause and recall that even though there is so much racism, anti-Semitism, and hate to eradicate, it is okay to take time to rest and to recharge." And that's what we did here when we began our service in song and in joy. We are allowing ourselves the space from this week to have a Shabbat Menucha, a restful Shabbat. And when the Shabbat is over and when we are restored, I challenge us all to take hold of the responsibility that we have to use our metaphorical driver's license and encourage somebody else in your world outside of Kol Ami to get involved in the sacred work of making this world a better place. When we get into the driver's seat, we take hold of our responsibility in the covenant that was made between God, our ancestors, and each one of us. We will bring blessing into this world by being blessings, by helping to get others connected into doing the justice work that we all know needs to be done, by voting next week, and leading others to do the same. Ken Yehi Ratzon, so may it be. It is now my pleasure to invite up Leonard Slutsky, a member of our board, to offer us some announcements.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Leonard Slutsky. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and on behalf of the Board of Congregation Kol Ami, we want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to our annual Shabbat sponsors, Aaron Aronow and Mike Garza, Daniel Blatt, Evan Cohen, Carrie Davidson and Andrew Ogilvie, Phil and Addie Lelyveld, Lauren Ostro and Brian Newkirk, Josh Weinman, and Joseph Zipkin in memory of Rick Lead. Before we dive into the upcoming events for our community, I just wanted to acknowledge the many celebrations that we had in our community this past week. First and foremost, we are wishing many mazel tovs to Rabbi Alana Rabashah, who was just ordinated this past weekend, as well as Eliana Rubin, who graduated with a master's in educational leadership. And of course, you can do a clap. And of course, we send all of our congratulations to Rabbi Egger, who is currently in Israel, who is recently awarded an honorary doctorate from Ben Gurion University in Israel. It is truly a joyous time in the Kol Ami community. We hope you'll join Rabbi Levy tomorrow morning for our monthly prophetic Torah study on Zoom, beginning at 10 a.m. This upcoming Sunday, May 22nd, we'll be continuing our Yom Ha'atzmaut celebration of Israel with a special online-only program direct from Israel with Yoki Rappaport, the Executive Director of Women at the Wall. This group has been fighting for equality in public prayer and Torah readings at the Kotel, the Western Wall, for the past 20 years. Next Shabbat, May 28th, you can join Rabbi Levy for the next installment of our Shabbat Holiness Hikes series. We'll gather at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday morning and walk together along the Lake Hollywood Reservoir and enjoy some nature and fresh air. This trail is good for all levels, so we hope you'll join us. As a reminder, we will not have Shabbat services at Kol Ami on Friday, June 3rd. We will be joining the Stephen Wise Temple for a special community Shabbat service celebrating 50 years of women in the rabbinate. Rabbi Egger will be participating in the service, which begins at 6:15. On June 4th at 7 p.m., please join us as we welcome in Shavuot with an evening of learning, singing, and hearing some amazing stories from members of our community who have chosen Judaism. And we'll conclude the evening with a special dessert reception in the courtyard. And lastly, we hope you'll keep up to date with all of the happenings at Kol Ami. You can visit us on our website, kol-ami.org. And you can register for all of our programs online. And while visiting our website, we hope you'll consider making a donation to the synagogue to support our vital work that we do all year round. Thank you all very much, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Leonard. We will continue with Aleinu, which can be found on 586. Please rise as you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. This week, Congregation Kol Ami is remembering Arthur Paulier, friend of Congregation Kol Ami, Leo Rosenblum, friend of Congregation Kol Ami, Chai Gochin, great-grandmother of Grant Gochin, Rebecca Alexander, stepmother of Erwin Alexander, Claire Moses, mother of Randall Moses, Bill Thomas, partner of Ben Reback, and those names are lit here in the sanctuary in remembrance. We are also remembering Sonia Levico, grandmother of Joshua Bobrowski, Liba Gomberg, grandmother of Lilia Lukowski, Carol Alexander, friend of Joshua Bloxam, Lenny Schulman, father of Adam Schulman, Esther Handman, grandmother of Martin Handman, and Jeannie Goldman, mother of Wendy Goldman. This year, Congregation Kol Ami is also remembering Gary Rosenfeld, Stephen May, Herbert Lank, Jack Salzberg, Paul Rush, Hanum Bashi, Michael Epstein, Marvin Keller, Mark Levin, Rick Gold, Erwin Citron, Marvin Edelman, Don Robbins, Paul Fredericks, Paula Tabor, Ann Pendo, Linda Bacalian, Mariel Stein, Ruben Ibarra, Marion Waxner, Claudia Morton, Ron Stoner, Alyssa Bentley, Sandy Saltzman, Jay Solersh, Shirley Rosenberg, Brandon Lux, Russell Kirschenbaum, Nadine Holt, Christopher Hughes, Yusuf Lakito, Evelyn Rich, Keith Cantrell, Rob Schlesinger, Leona Bander, Marlene Bram, and Herb Jacobson. And to those names, we add those that you are remembering this Shabbat, whether you are here or you're writing their name on Facebook. Please rise as you are able, page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Hirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudasha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. We will conclude with the words of Oseh Shalom. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to all of us, to all of Israel, and to all who inhabit the earth.
Let's try this out. How are we doing, Travis? Nope. Oh, say shalom bimromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. This week, as we conclude Parshat Bechukotai that Rabbi Rabashah so beautifully taught us about this evening, we will say together, Chazak, Chazak, Venit, Chazek. It is what we say after concluding the book of any of the books of the Torah. And what it means is, be strong, and we will be strengthened together. And that is my blessing for you on this Shabbat. For Chazak, Chazak, be strong, Venit Chazek. Let us be strengthened by one another, be strengthened by the community that we build together each and every day, each and every week. And let us be strengthened by the rest and the restoration that comes with this Shabbat. And let us say, Amen.